All right, all right. Getting this thing underway. It's a good Monday for you. Good Monday. Good summertime. Officially summertime. Officially in that realm of summer, bright sun outside. Doing well here in Chicago. I hope you're doing well where you're at. Um, Here in the pre-show, just taking a minute to let CouchBot catch up on the YouTubes. Um, Busy weekend here. Busy weekend. We released, let's see, we got a new heuristics worksheet that runs with the heuristic testing, and it's embedded in the competitive matrix, and we updated. We updated the priority guides exercise, released some new material around that. Pushing a lot of content for the first time outside of the community, trying to generate a little activity there. So if you see me posting something, if you want to help out, like hitting that reshare, retweet, or sharing a link, that all that helps. If you're wondering how you might participate in the growth of this community, we've got a content schedule now through the end of August. So we'll be releasing things pretty consistently. Goodness. While it is a lovely summer day, I'm clearly still getting the meds worked out of my system from that surgery last week. But doing much better on that front. Well, actually, I'm healing. How about that? I'm healing. Can't really say I'm doing better, because I was doing a lot better last week, and I'm kind of like maintaining that, which is good. I would love to get back to running though. Goodness gracious, kind of like, it was great for the time I would have put into running, I put into releasing new material. That's great. The flip side of that is, feel like crap from the perspective of being myself and whatnot. But right now, uh, we do have. It looks like CouchBot has fired, and that means we can get started. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here. New Pragmatic. It's time for the feedback loop. Shout out to John Balboa, one of the OGs around here. John's based out of Las Vegas, and the Vegas market has been crushed for some time. Shut down for COVID. Kind of a distressed marketplace overall. They were hit really hard in the housing crisis. Like Vegas has had a tough time. And it's a place you go for dreams and winnings and fun, but it's a tough place to live and be a citizen of. A great place to visit, tough place to live. Beautiful place, love it. Well, John landed a full-time design gig. First day is today. Super excited for him. Congratulations, John. And it's actually in Vegas. For the longest time, I was like, John, you're going to have to look for a remote gig. Vegas probably isn't going to have much. By God, he found something in Vegas. So don't listen to me, kids. Listen to John Balboa. John Balboa said, I'm not going to quit. Kept at it, kept pushing, kept improving his portfolio along the way. Total credit goes to John. Great job. Today we've got a few familiar faces, and most everybody is either in a gig or trying to get a gig that's applied, that's put their stuff in today. Rebecca's back. She's working on her presentation deck. She's trying to generate a way to build a bridge to talk about her CX experience. Abraham's back. He's actually working on a dashboard. And Melanie, who has an interview on Wednesday, is trying to put together a deck for her presentation. With that position. So I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let's just jump in here and see what everybody's got. Um, so right off, I just want to check my levels. Yeah, they're. I had to. It's like, is my mic on? It just suddenly struck me that my mic might not be on. Right off, we've got Melanie, and Melanie, I'm gonna move Abraham down here. Abraham, I'll get to you in a second. Melanie is here, and Rebecca is here, and basically Melanie is where Rebecca is trying to go. All right, except with Rebecca, like Rebecca's in an early stage of her presentation. Melanie's at a later stage of her presentation. Different content though. Like Rebecca's very much not showing a particular product where Melanie is walking somebody through a product. For Rebecca, it feels like you're stuck in this in between zone. Like as I'm looking at this, I still see a mix of this is headline and like this is headline, but this is more paragraph, or it's becoming more paragraph. Um, and what I was reading in your notes was I'm struggling with headlines for some of them. I know that after I have the headlines, the paragraph text will be easier to revise. So let's try to come in here and punch this up, if you will, and instead of I'm just going to make comments here. So there's no better way to get to know your customers than observing and interacting with them. So here, you know, well, actually, I don't want to click and. I'll just click the one. Well, there's no better way to get to know your customers than observing and interacting with them. So this would be like know your customer. But if you make it know your customer, I don't want you to then go through and repeat know your customers. So it's it could be know your customer, know the user. It let's see, what else could we say here? There's no better way to watch and listen, because when you say watch and listen, you're leading them to what's going to be down here. There's no better way to know your customers than observing and interacting with them. So lesson 1, watch and listen. Okay. Community matters. So community matters needs a paragraph with it, like you've got the headline. Transparency is crucial for building healthy long-term customer relationships. So open lines of communication, transparency above all, like something along those lines. Again though, I don't want to say transparency and transparency. That's sometimes the key, is finding that metaphor, or finding that alternative wordplay that you can put in here. Share a bit of yourself. Your users are smart and curious. Storytelling. Be a storyteller. So here, or be the storyteller. Another one might be guide the journey. Guide the journey, or be the guide. These are all headlines that could work for that. Share and communicate with your customers in plain language. no $5 words. You know, and even that might be bad. You know, just clear communication. And some of these are, you know, they get into this realm where, you know, I might have even said clear communication already somewhere up here. I didn't. Sell what you're. Don't sell what you like. Sell what your customers want. So focus on customer customers customer needs over your desires. Okay. And it's like anything that can shift it back toward the customer. But that's just a few different ways that you can, you know, I just wanted to give you some examples of things that you could leverage and do here. I don't necessarily think any of these are the right answer, but they're in that, you know, if we, you know, in brainstorming a few of these, I think that maybe that can get you going. The other side of it, Rebecca, is you had a question about an agency that reached out to see if you were available. It's really important to think about this in terms of they reached out, and it's been a minute since you've heard from them. They may think that because you haven't responded that you're not interested. So what I think is really important for you is that if you are interested, don't don't like don't wait a second longer. Like, do that if you're watching this and you're interested in working with that organization. Like, stop watching this and go do that. This recording will exist later. Like, I don't want to play those games. When people are ready to move, they move right that second. There was a project that I've been kind of helping shepherd through, where I know people on actually both sides of the coin, and it's Sunday night, and they're wondering, hey, is your person interested? And I knew they were, so I kind of passed that along, and then over the course of the next hour or so, late on a Sunday night, those people are just firing notes back and forth. So when people are ready to work, they're ready to work, and if they're not going to wait around for a couple of weeks. So my worry here is that if they reached out and you've already interviewed with them and they were checking to see if you're available, any longer to respond would be a negative sign. Like, that opportunity will pass. And if you don't respond at all, they won't contact you back, because they'll be like, well, they never contacted us back. I'm guessing they're not interested. Okay? So I do think it's really important. Like, even if somebody contacts you and they say, hey, are you still available? It's really key to tell them, no, I'm actually not. But thank you. Please contact me again. Like, you need to give them some sort of next step. Either you are available or you're not available, and you want them to consider you later. Like, hey, I'm in the middle of a project, I can't right now. Please let me know if you have anything else in the future. I'd love to work with you. That sort of thing. And then finally there is the, no, I'm not available, and I won't be available for a long time, so please remove me from this list. And there's nothing wrong with any of those. Like, the last one is just like, I'm not interested in working for you. It's kind of like when I get hey, do you want to work for whatever boot camps? Like, no, actually I don't, because I kind of have my own thing. So thanks. Take me off this list, please. Versus, when a project comes up where I might get to collaborate with some friends. It's like, I am busy, but that'd be kind of fun to work with people that I like. And, everybody's at a different point in their career, right? I like doing projects with people that I've already done projects with, and if those opportunities come along, I tend to I tend to find a way to work with them because I think that it's when you've worked with people and you've had success in the past, you find a way. Um, you don't always turn those down. Anyway, you'll make the right call, but I would say regardless of whether you want to or don't want to work with them, you owe them a response. Okay, and if anybody's watching this, like somebody reaches out about to you about a gig, you owe them a response. Even if it's like a cold call, give them a response and say, "Yeah, not interested. Thank you." Or, "Hey, not interested right now. Maybe another time." Or, "Yes, let's do this." Okay? Those are the three. Not responding, not an option. Okay? So Melanie is in here and she has her so this is her deck. This is like I'm going to, like right now we may not be interviewing in person, but she's put this together for a walkthrough with a group of people at a company. I oftentimes, we put a lot of discussion into portfolios specifically, but the last thing I want you doing in a walkthrough with a team is scrolling through your portfolio. They can already do this, okay? And really when you're standing in front of a group, you can't really like if I go in here, yes, yes. Sorry, she's got password protection on some of this stuff. And for that reason, I'm going to actually go back to her, and we'll go over here to Handy. Okay. So she's got Handy here, and that's great. But I don't want you actually scrolling through, trying to figure out where that thing is that you want to talk about next. What I really want is I want a presentation where you're walking me through a particular problem that you've solved, and you're breaking it down into bite-sized chunks. So the great news is your case study is an underpinning for this. Okay, it's not like you have if you've done your case study the right way, you should be able to go and grab this information and put it into a presentation that allows you to focus a bit. Okay, for this organization or for this presentation, I'm gonna really focus in on maybe it's all the UX work that happened in this project, or maybe it's all the front end work that like you need to have different ways to shift it, and that's a lot easier to do in a presentation than it is in your portfolio, because in your portfolio it's like that's a live piece of work that exists in the public sphere, and you may be working on all sorts of different angles or all sorts of different positions. You can't just constantly shift that, but you can shift the presentation. So here, I'm just going to kind of guide our way through. So she's walking us through. Okay, so this is the headline literally from the case study. Here's what the product is. She's talking, kind of helping people understand what physician oversight is, why it matters. I think well-being might be 2 words or maybe hyphenated. Something to look at there, Mel. So how the product is different. So kind of including a visual to help people understand trade-offs of the model, how they demonstrate oversight, why this was an issue. So this is where and this is where I sometimes encourage people to break it up. So this is fine. I mean, this kind of is walking us through it. I want to make sure that we're like this is comparing two things. It might be great to show these larger, and without redrawing it, take this illustration over here and make it like this big on one screen, and then create a new screen for traditional, and like take the illustration, make it bigger, and then trial spark and like move this over here for the next screen, and have the illustration kind of occupying the same space, so we can focus. I'm worried that there's a lot on the screen at the same time right now. That depending on how much time you spend on this screen, I may not have time to really take it all in. Okay. Um, Challenges, benefits, clinical data, multiple forms. Um, so why was this an issue? Um, Researchers, disruptions, data capture. Okay. So yeah, this is borderline. I almost wanted to put it in more screens, but at the same time, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Just part of this is the timing. Okay, giving yourself enough time to cover the subject effectively. All right. So how might we? So double diamond. Um, why is physician oversight such a problem? Um, so this is more of a visual. You're not really actually wanting anybody to read that. Listen and empathize. Um, Contextualize frustrations. So this is fine, cause you know I do wonder if this would benefit, like first screen, second screen. That way we kind of see it in chunks. Again, this is like I want to help them. I want to help them consume it. Um, Really the same thing here. Like, do I, do I break this down? There are four main issues that we had: responsibility, trust and technology, disruptions in patient care. I guess this is actually maybe this is three, and these are the same. Um, so something to consider there. Um, that's fine. So here we're defining. So there are three phases, and we've kind of talked about that. And I like the fact that you're taking the time now to say, okay, there's three phases. I would like to probably call these out, maybe make them bold, just so that we make sure we don't miss them. And then like now we're gonna go into phase one, and this gearing, if you will, I can feel like you shifting, like you're shifting gears as you're moving through this. So here's the intro, like, hey, I'm going to walk you through three phases and talk to you about how this plan was supposed to roll out. And now here's phase one. And here you're just kind of giving some context of how you began working on that. Here's positioning documentation. Obviously, they're not supposed to read this. I would probably make this a little larger because I'm so either that or knock this back a little further just so I can focus here. Phase two. That's interesting. So phase two, okay, they're going in to develop, and here's the old versus the new. See, this is the type of thing I'm talking about when we're talking about comparison of large items. Like this works very well. So I like the fact that you've broken this up. Need signature. Phase two, call to action. So this works as well. Like if you want to show both of them side by side, it's good to like have two screens, so you could do the same thing earlier. You could have both of them on the screen together, just break them up, break the display up into to a 1-2, rather than it like one thing. Just like that's the progression of what you're showing. Um, Call to action. So this kind of shows the various iterations that you have, or the various refinements that you made. Modals. Yep. Yep. So this has the right flow. I can see like, okay, here's where it starts, and I can really quickly see what the change is. It's not hard for me to make that leap as to where you're going. And here you've included, like, there's a GIF factor here. This is a little harder to follow. I'm just not getting that. I'm not getting that confirmation. I think it's the only thing missing here. So you might want to point out that, because they're trying to watch two GIFs that are now playing. So email flow. Okay. Phase 3. And it looks like you're really, I'm seeing more notes as we get down here lower. Right now, the breakdown of information is largely working the way that. Oh, I guess we're at the end of it. While you've got some work to do here at the end, I think for the most part you've done a good job of kind of doing the things that I would want you to do. That earlier I was mentioning, make these adjustments. You've made those adjustments later downstream. So maybe this is just go back and apply that sort of same mentality to the stuff that you're doing further down. I think overall it's pretty easy to understand the way you're breaking it. It's actually easier to understand here than it is in your portfolio, because your portfolio has constraints of space. Like, you can't. It's hard to kind of break it up to where you're focusing. You can get them to focus on what you want them to focus on at the right time. Or in a presentation, it's just a different dynamic. So good job here. I like it. I want to make sure that we're addressing all the things. No, I don't think you have to put a logo on every page. I think I understand the context, and I can see the changes. I do think that this could use a little more work. And this is where, that frustration part, where you had the drawings. I think that's kind of, if you put more emphasis on that, I think possibly we have a better understanding of the problem. So maybe put some more focus there, and I'm happy to take another look at it. But you've got a couple days so before that interview, and again, the good news about this is every time you invest time in a deck, it's like it's a quiver, it's a tool that you can take and then reuse later. There are decks that I've made that I literally have used for years after I produce them, and you'll always take it and tweak it a little, but it's beneficial to go into an interview with something they haven't seen before, even if it's similar content. You've shown that, hey, I can take this and put it into a different format, so that we're not just kind of going over the same material you've obviously seen before, because you've been in the portfolio. Now, Abraham who peeks in from time to time, um, has submitted some work this morning, and this is a nurse's dashboard. So Abraham's doing some work for a client, and I have a few questions here. When I look at this, and again, Abraham, I'm coming in cold on this. Here's the active states. So when I'm looking at blood pressure, like if I have this, let's expand it. Weight expands that way. And if to go careful on this, because the patient's weight went from like 80 pounds to 20 pounds to 160, I'm guessing, pounds. That's pretty radical. You want to make sure that the things that you're displaying are reflected, so that people don't go, "Hey, that's a funny thing," like I just did. You don't want them to get distracted on what the chart is saying. The chart needs to say something that actually is logical, like the pulse. The pulse wouldn't move from 20 to 90 to 160. That's not a range. So pay attention to those details. That's this very bare minimum. So this is a pulse spike. So I'm guessing that if Allison Jones was represented over here, I would see her like here. This tells me I'm on home, okay, and this tells me like on the this is the home screen. So on the home screen I see available patients or in progress, and then I need to see something that tells me how I get over to Allison here. Is it grayed like that to say that it's selected? Is it red? I don't know. I'm guessing that this is telling me what alert that particular patient has at a given moment. I want to, sorry, I'll come back over to remotely, okay, so this is remote monitoring of patients. Almond only watches blood pressure, pulse, and weight. The bar on the left under search is a list of patients they can choose to review. In progress shows nurses currently working on these cards. I think these cards need more iteration, along with the graph on the right side. Yeah, I think we've talked about the graph on the right side. That does need work. I need to know how Allison Jones, like what's that interaction like, to get this to show up. What shows up when nothing has been selected? So what is I see these are the patients available, and maybe patients available would be the logical label here, in patients in progress would be down here. I'd like to see some names here. Like right now, I know that these are not all the same person. What is the empty state when nothing is selected? Right now, it doesn't appear that anything's been selected. And then what happens when I do select something? What does it look like over here? And then I'm guessing it's displayed over there. These are basic interaction questions. I appreciate you including the active states. I want to see more logical detail, or I want to see graphs that represent like reality. And yeah, I think the big thing is, and I say this a lot, it's like color. Yeah, it's like, does it work? I guess kinda. I need to see it in context. I need to see it in use. I need to see not just the dashboard, but like what's triggered this particular state. I think this has triggered it, but I can't. And that allows me to see this rail, but I can't figure out what allows me to see this rail, or this display. So if nothing's selected here, what should it be showing? When something is selected, I'm guessing it will show me this, but what does that look like? Okay. What does it look like if there are no, like if there's no patients available or in progress? Like if it's a slow Sunday and there's no work to do, what does that show over there? Anything? I don't know. But those are the questions that I have. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap us up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. Hope that it's been helpful for you. Feel free to tune in tomorrow. We'll do it again, as we do every single day, right here at New Pragmatic. So, for Chris Courtney, well, actually, for New Pragmatic, because I am Chris Courtney, this has been the Feedback Loop. I'll see you tomorrow.